Welcome to the very first episode of Military Spouse to Millionaire 2026. To say that I have been MIA from podcasting would be a drastic understatement. I don't think I've recorded a podcast episode maybe since October or November of 2025, partly because I knew that I wanted to overhaul not only the space, which is not quite all the way finished yet. I'm still zhuzhing a little bit, but good enough that I feel like I can record at least an episode in here, but also just revamping the podcast overall. I have loved podcasting the last year plus that I've been doing Military Spouse to Millionaire, but I also feel like I need to be giving you guys more than just me sitting here talking at the camera. So I have spent a great deal of time talking to my team, my staff, other people that I know and respect in the real estate and lending space to get everyone on board with coming on the podcast. So honestly, this is going to be the last solo episode that I do for probably a little while. The thing that I'm most excited for is next episode. You're literally getting my entire team, minus Jenny, who lives in North Carolina. And even then, I might have her maybe FaceTime in and be on the laptop because she is that important. People need to know who she is. But I am going to be adding some chairs. You're going to get us all at one time. And we're going to talk about the team, the dynamic, what everyone does, because you guys see these other people on social media with me and you have questions about who they are and what roles they fill and how are they involved. And honestly, they're just all great, amazing people that I'm excited to introduce and share with everyone who follows along with me, whether you know it or not, whether you're a past client or an upcoming client. They are part of your journey too. So I'm excited to pull the curtain back and introduce you to all of them. But this episode is more just a what the hell have I been up to lately? So many things. So Clayton and I took the month of December and we traveled all over Europe. It was my sister-in-law's 40th birthday, and she wanted to go on a river cruise down the Danube that stopped at all the holiday Christmas markets, like starting in Germany through Austria, ended in Budapest, Hungary. So we knew we wanted to do that. And then that just sparked this whole like, well, we're going to be over in Europe. Let's, go here, do this, check this out. So after months and months and months, like we were planning this trip, we planned this trip for a year. So holiday season 2024, we literally started planning December 2025 trip, and it morphed into, we flew from here to Las Vegas, spent 3 days in Vegas, and then flew from Vegas to New York, spent 2 days in New York, and then we flew from New York into Paris. We just spent a night in Paris, and then we actually went out to the Palace of Versailles, which everyone has been asking me, obviously, like, what was your favorite part? It's a coin toss between staying at the Palace of Versailles, because fun fact, there is an actual hotel on the palace grounds. And I will post footage of this if anybody wants to see it. I know I posted it on my stories and stuff as we were like on the trip because my social media team literally threatened my life if I didn't post and send and share content while I was gone. So we stayed 2 nights at the Palace of Versailles, and that was on my sister-in-law's actual 40th birthday. So we spent her birthday getting a private tour of the Hall of Mirrors after hours. It was only us in the Hall of Mirrors, which is hands down one of the most extraordinary things that I have done in my life. It was amazing. So 12 out of 10, 15 out of 10, if you can do it and you're ever able to do it, stay at that hotel, do the private tour. We got to see so many cool places in the palace that are not open to the public. And our tour guide was a local historian and was just amazing. So we did that. And then after that, we took the Channel, so the train that goes underneath the English Channel, which was a very cool experience. I do not like to fly, so naturally I am a huge fan of train travel. And getting to take the Channel from Paris underneath to London was very cool. Then we spent a couple days in England. We only spent one night in London, but we went out to Bristol and Bath and checked out that part of England, which I had never been to. But I'm a huge history nerd, and getting to go to the baths in Bath, like the Roman baths that are like literally 2,000 years old, was amazing. Europe in general obviously just has so much history to check out. So getting to see Bristol and Bath, and my sister-in-law has some family who lives in Bristol, so we got to meet some of her family, which was really cool. And then from there, my brother and his wife actually stayed on a few extra days in Bristol, and Clayton and I went over to Germany a few days early because we were stationed in Germany twice during his military career. And I have always said, and I stand by this now after going back, Germany is hands down one of the only places that I would leave Hawaii for. Germany is just that girl. Like, I just don't know how else to say it. I was really interested to see if it was just the nostalgia in my mind, like if it still lived up to the hype, and it 100% does. Like, I just love Germany. I loved our time in Germany. I loved going back to Germany. It was phenomenal getting to go to the Nuremberg Christmas market, getting to eat all of the like bratwurst sandwiches in the Brochens, just their Henschen trucks. I just love everything about being in Germany. It was amazing. So we got a few extra days in Germany while we waited for them to join us. We then hopped on a river cruise, which we had never done. We are big ocean cruise people. We had never done a river cruise, and we went on a cruise with a company called AMA Waterways, AMA Waterways. And it was the Christmas market cruise, and it left from Germany, went through Austria, ended in Budapest, Hungary. I had never been to Austria, and I had never been to Budapest, so those were very cool new places to check off of my list. Loved Austria. It was amazing. Definitely lives up to the hype. Like, we had an opportunity to go to where they filmed The Sound of Music, and I think where Beethoven was from, or Mozart. I really can't remember. I probably should be able to remember, but it was amazing. The cruise was so private feeling because the boat is so small. There's only 150 people on the whole boat, which, coming from ocean cruising, where I think the biggest boat we've ever sailed on had like over 5,000 people on it, even during COVID, like at the tail end of COVID when the cruises started running again. I've never been on a cruise that only had 150 people on it. But the boat was big enough. It had enough things to do that you didn't ever feel cramped. You got to know everybody. It was super cool. It was amazing. The smaller river cruises can get into different ports, smaller ports. So we got to see different things versus like a ocean cruise around Europe. So it was amazing. And then we actually ended on Christmas Eve in Budapest. And so we spent 4 days in Hungary. Would 10 out of 10 go again. It was a little bit quiet, obviously, because it was the holidays. So everything was open on Christmas Eve, but then Christmas Day and the day after Christmas is like a second Christmas for them. I even think it said on their calendar, like second day of Christmas. So a lot of things were closed, but that was okay. We stayed at the Four Seasons Gresham Palace, hands down. And I know I sent a ton of content to my social media team to post about this, hands down. And the cost in Budapest is so much cheaper than anywhere else in Europe and even here in the United States. Like, if you go to the Four Seasons here in Hawaii at Ko'olina, that shit is like $1,200 to $1,400 a night. It was so affordable to stay at this Four Seasons in Budapest just because cost of living there, like everything is so cheap. So you don't have to spend an arm and a leg. Like, I would absolutely stay there. The restaurant there was amazing. We didn't leave the hotel grounds for those 2 days. We went to their like pool area. Their spa area was great. They had an amazing gym on site. It was lovely. We sat around on Christmas Day, the four of us, and just played cards and kind of hung out in their little like downstairs lounge area. It was wonderful. We also did Pilates. It was kind of on our bingo card to try to stay in shape because it was a longer trip. We were gone for 5 weeks. And so we tried to do a lot of walking. Obviously, you're in Europe, and try to go to Pilates classes everywhere we went. So we went to a Pilates class in New York. We went to a Pilates class in London. We went to a Pilates class in Germany. And we actually loved the Budapest studio so much that we went to 2 Pilates classes while we were in Budapest, Hungary. So very, very cool. Shout out to all of those studios. They were so accommodating. They taught classes in English or would like give us instructions in English. It was amazing. So that was cool. After that, we said goodbye to my brother and his wife, and they came back here to Hawaii, and we went on to go to Iceland. We met some of our best friends who, ironically enough, is our realtor in Colorado. We have known them for over 15 years, and over the time that we've bought and sold properties in Colorado, Ben and his wife, Brittany, have just become literally some of our closest friends, amazing people. When they come to visit later on this year, I will have Ben on the podcast because he has a very important part in my story in getting into real estate. So be looking out for that. He is, you guys, the real estate stuff that this man does inspires me to this day. Like, we were just in Colorado at the tail end of this trip, and I'll tell you about that in a second. He's taking us to his flips and his renovations and his projects, and you guys know I am a renovation junkie. It is amazing the stuff this man does. It's completely different real estate than the type of real estate I do, working with military pretty much exclusively, but goddamn, the stuff that he does, Benjamin Kennedy, maybe I'll have the team like mention him or tag him so you guys can look up his social media and just see the stuff that he does. It's mind blowing. But we had heard from them a few years back that they loved this trip to Iceland that they went on. And I'm like, I'm from Alaska, and like Iceland is like similar enough to Alaska that, with like the northern lights and the temperatures and kind of feeling remote. I was like, I don't really need to go to Iceland, but they were like, no, you need to go to Iceland. So we went to Iceland. We met them there for New Year's. We stayed at the Blue Lagoon, but not at the Blue Lagoon. There's like two sides to the Blue Lagoon. We stayed at the side called the Retreat. This place was so zen, so quiet. You're just in your bathrobe and your bathing suit at all times. We ate at like their fine dining restaurant in a bathrobe. And we were having like outstanding meals just in the spa, in the restaurant, and in our bathrobes. Like, it was crazy. The Blue Lagoon lives up to the hype. The service there was amazing. There's no TVs anywhere on property, like not in the lobby, not in your hotel room. It is a place where you go and truly unplug. It was mind blowing. It was amazing. And then after that, they had to go to Miami to pick up their two daughters who stayed with Brittany's family, but we were going directly to Colorado. So fun fact, if you're going to Iceland, even if you're going from Hawaii to Denver is a direct nonstop 7-hour flight, and then direct nonstop flight from Denver right into Reykjavik, where the Blue Lagoon is. So honestly, as far as like a travel day from Hawaii goes, not that bad, but we wanted to break it up and we wanted to spend 4 or 5 days in Colorado checking on our rental properties. I got some footage of one of my rental properties when we were there that we're in the process of selling. Wanted to check in with Clayton's friend Sergio, who owns Queen's Capital, which is a sister company to HG Mortgage where Clayton works. When Sergio retired, he got into lending as well. So he'll hopefully come to visit us one time this year and be on the podcast. If not, I might do like a virtual podcast with him. Oh, Panda is trying to climb up here, guys. These new taller chairs don't allow for Panda access, and I think he's feeling a little jealous that he's not on the podcast. So we saw him, we saw Ben, we saw Brittany, we, saw our rental properties, got to write off a little bit of the trip. We looked at a few other properties because on my goals for 2026 is I would like to use most of the money, if not all of the money that we're making from the sale of our property that we're selling right now. I want to buy a small apartment building, like 10 to 20 units maybe. And we're still looking at like, does that exist in Colorado? Is that where we want to do it? We have good friends who are heavy into real estate in Kentucky. Do we want to do it there? Do we want to do it at all? I don't know. All of our multifamily properties do really well. And I think that is definitely a big key to success. But there's a threshold, like maybe 10 or 15 or 20 units is too many. So I don't know. I'm just in the very beginning stages of that. So we kind of looked and explored that kind of stuff. And then finally, after we were done staying in Colorado, we came back here to Hawaii on January 6th and jumped right back into work. Like literally next day after we got back, I had a full 6-hour day of back-to-back client calls, but I am thrilled to report that part of the reason I was okay building out this trip to be gone for so long is because I spent a lot of 2025 with the core members of my staff and my team, building processes, teaching new skills, getting things ready for more growth. I still very much have growth that I want to happen within Finding Home and goals that I have for so many things. I can't even talk about it all in one podcast episode. So this was a great test of that, right? Like you can have systems and you can teach things, but until it's like you're doing it, you don't know if they really work or if they're really going to be successful. And the team crushed it. Transactions were still getting into escrow and closing while we were gone. I came back. We still had 5 or 6 closings in January. It's February. We have 10 closings this month. We already have 5 or 6 closings for March. And if the team hadn't have kept the machine running, so to speak, while I was gone, that just wouldn't be happening. We would have had a lull. We would have had no closings. They crushed it. They did so good. And that gave me such confidence in, we're moving in the right direction. Okay, I can add things to their plate now because they've kind of got this down. So that was thrilling to test and kind of pass that test with my team. So we're back. I'm back to work. We're doing all the things. And I'm literally on the edge of my seat, you guys, because I really, really, really worked my face off last year. I know people see me take this big 5-week long trip and they're like, oh my God, all she does is travel. But I literally didn't do anything last year. I did no trips, no vacations. I did take my brother and sister-in-law over to the Big Island for 2 days. We were overnight there. So 1 night, 2 days on the Big Island. And I was still working while I was gone to celebrate them getting married. They got married here in September and have subsequently moved here. And my brother quit his job of 22 years to get his mortgage license and now works with Clayton because, again, growth is the name of the game, and we are busy enough that Clayton and his business partner, who is also one of my real estate agents, they needed the help. They just literally were drowning. Clayton was getting to his desk at, 7 in the morning and not coming to bed or walking away from his desk until sometimes 9 o'clock at night. And that's not sustainable. So my brother and his then fiance, but now wife, were always like, we want to move to Hawaii. And I was like, don't talk about it, be about it, bring your ass. So he literally took his mortgage course and took the test and passed and quit his job. And they moved here, got married here. They just did the damn thing. So that was exciting. So I took 1 2-day trip earlier in the year to kind of celebrate them getting married. But that was it. I did no other trips. I had a goal for myself going into 2025 that I didn't want to track or know my numbers for the year. So on a month-to-month basis, I track all those things, right? I know how many deals I did in January and February, but by August, I don't remember how many deals I did in January. So I always keep it on my whiteboard out in the living room office space right outside the podcast room here. I always keep a running tally. And I've always done that the whole time I've been in real estate since 2017. And I didn't do it last year because one of the things kind of on my vision board was just client care and not focusing on the numbers, not tracking the statistics, not chasing that as a goal. And there's nothing wrong with that as a goal. That's fine. If I had a goal and I was I want to do 100 deals in a year, there's nothing wrong with that. But I had done that my whole career and done very well. But I just wanted to try something different and really try to just focus on something else. And so I did. And I was very anxious to get back and have my team tell me how many transactions I did. So we got back on a Tuesday. Our weekly team meetings are every Wednesday. And my business manager knew the number and was just bursting at the seams to tell me. And thank God no one got it on camera because I did legitimately burst into tears when they told me I did 134 transactions in 2025. And then a few weeks later, we got the official rankings from the Honolulu Board of Realtors. My broker personally sent me an email to tell me, congratulations, you are the #1 agent in the state for number of transactions closed in 2025 and 7th in the state for dollar amount closed, which is still impressive, but I care more about how many transactions I closed versus the dollar amount, because the number of transactions closed, in my opinion, directly correlates to every single family or service member that I helped, every person who trusted me. And I would rather have less dollar amount and reach more people than the other way around. So still, 7th is still very good. It's still top 10 in the state. I then went on to find out, Clayton actually told me this a few days after I found out about the rankings, that for 2025, only 0.2, so like 0.02% of agents in the entire US did over 100 transactions. So not only is it an impressive ranking on a state level, but even a national level, I am among the top 0.02% of agents, which is so crazy when you think about the fact that I only work with military. I think for 2025, I feel confident saying every single person I worked with was military, which is outrageously cool that this many people in the military are hearing my message and taking the time to get educated and making this life-changing investment. It's just so wild to me. So that was super cool to find out. I, since the new year, did officially file and start a new LLC for a second company tied to Finding Home, but not doing the same thing as Finding Home, that I don't really want to talk too much about yet. But I did start a second company, and we'll be kind of rolling that out later on in the year when I feel like it's ready. She's still baking, so stay tuned for that. Right before we started to get ready for our trip, my knee really started bothering me. It's kind of been bothering me for probably 6 or 8 months, but I've been icing it, taking ibuprofen for it, kind of doing all of those things. And finally I was like, okay, it's bothering me enough. I should probably go officially have it looked at. So I had an MRI done on my left knee before we left on our trip, and I got the results while we were gone. And my primary care doctor was basically like, you need to go see an orthopedic surgeon. This is crazy. Your knee is jacked up. And I was like, oh no. Thankfully, I went to see the orthopedic surgeon when we got back, and he said, if you were 65 or 70 having these issues, immediate partial knee replacement, would ask no questions. You, however, are only in your early 40s. I really don't want to cut on you. And I said, great, because I really don't want you to cut on me. So he recommended PRP injections. And I had one about 2 weeks ago. I have another one coming up on Wednesday. And then I have a third one about 2 weeks after that. So they recommend a course of 3. PRP is, I guess, platelet-rich plasma. They take your blood, they spin out the plasma, they inject it into wherever the problem area is. And it's supposed to help with inflammation and cause it has regenerative qualities. It's hard to explain. Google it. I'm probably doing a very poor job. I'm not a medical expert. Obviously, I'm a real estate agent. So that was an experience. To include natural childbirth, it was hands down the most painful thing that I have ever done in my life. It was crazy. So I can unpack more of that with people one-on-one if you have questions. Mine and Clayton's challenge, or New Year's resolution this year, we normally don't have the same one, but this year we do. And it's to not waste food, because you guys, I feel like such a terrible human being. We are constantly especially produce, because produce here, unless you buy local produce that hasn't been on a boat for Lord knows how long to get here, which is I try to do, it just goes bad so damn fast. And we just waste so much food, and we're always bitching at each other about being so wasteful. So this year we're just hey, we're going to put our foot down. We both do this. We're just going to not waste any food. So that's been the challenge for this year. And it's definitely made me more mindful when I grocery shop. I'm definitely having lower grocery bills. So if no other benefit comes from this challenge this year, I'm saving money on groceries because I'm so scared to buy too much, for things that are going to go bad. But that's been really good so far. And then Clayton also got a wild hair one day in January and said, let's do no sugar February. Don't eat anything that has added sugar. And in my mind, I'm everything has added sugar. That's so hard. And I don't think he realized that, And so I agreed. I was like, bet, I'm your girl. Like, let's do it. And then like 4 days in, we're at Costco and he's looking at the back of like all of these things. And he's like, oh my God, there's sugar in this. Oh my God, there's sugar and random things. Like you wouldn't even think there should be sugar in product X, like whatever it is. Sugar's on the ingredient list. Now, if it's natural sugar, like fruit has sugar in it, honey is like a natural sugar, fine, we can have those things, but added sugar. Yeah, and it's kind of been very eye-opening. I knew sugar was in everything, but just reading the labels and really seeing like there is sugar in everything is a crazy eye-opening experience. So that's what we're doing for the year. It would not be a Military Spouse to Millionaire podcast if I didn't sprinkle in just the tiniest bit of real estate update for you guys. And I made a quick Instagram story about this as I was literally rushing out of my house the other day to go to an impromptu showing in Hawaii Kai. You guys, the market is shifting. It is crazy. The last month of real estate is seeing multiple offers on properties. I literally, for the first time in 2 years or more, had a listing attached single family home in Ocean Point on the market 1 week, had 16 groups come through the open house, which is crazy. We got 3 offers in 1 week. We accepted an offer at full asking price. The buyers asked for no credits. That is wild. Other clients that I'm house hunting with, they're dragging their feet offering on a home, gone. They're offering under asking price. They're not even getting a counter offer. They're accepting another offer that they have in hand. This is the kind of stuff in one of my last podcast episodes last year called Real Estate Chickens. This is exactly what I was talking about. I am not, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a fortune teller, but everybody knew this was coming. Like people in the real estate space. The reason I made that episode and I talk about it in that episode is because I think the beginning March or April of 2025, Barbara Corcoran, who arguably knows more about real estate than any 10 people combined that I know personally, talked to one of the media outlets and said, when interest rates drop 1%, from 6 to 5, because they were at 6 when she made that comment, roughly, 5 million buyers are going to re-enter the market because it'll be more affordable. A 1% drop in interest rates is substantial. Not that I'm a mortgage broker and I'm not quoting interest rates, but I'm hearing Clayton locking people in right now at 5.5. So we're halfway there and already we're starting to see these changes. So this is me looking at you buyers out there. If you are able to pull the trigger sooner rather than later, this is not me rushing you, but you need to listen to the market and you need to be educated and aware on changes that are happening in the market. And that is what I'm here to educate on. You are going to miss your chance for those buyer benefits, like those credits, like not having to offer crazy over asking price. Like you need to not drag your feet. So that's my disclaimer. That's my bit of real estate stuff. This episode has been so nice for me to just word vomit all of this stuff, this catch up. I want to hear from you guys, like genuinely, how was everybody's holidays? What is everybody doing in the new year? Do we have any New Year's resolutions? Did you break them already? Did you break them and jump back on the horse? Like, I want to know all the things. My engagement with you guys has been so crazy, even just this year. And I think that's because I have a lot of processes dialed in and you guys are communicating with me so much more, which I love. So I want to know all the things. Catch me up on what you guys have been doing. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. God, it feels so good to be back and saying those words again. I cannot wait to get the team in here. Hopefully there's enough room. I'm going to have to bring in like extra seating and we'll probably move this table, but I cannot wait for you guys to meet the people that, whether you know it or not, they're a big part of making your dream come true. So bye guys.